Good morning, everybody. I hope you are enjoying your day. And I also want to apologize once again on my video covering the day one events that happened at the trial. I was having issues with my microphone. I accidentally hit the option for interview, and so the microphone was constantly searching for a second or third voice. So every time I would pause, then it would start the search looking for the next person to speak before it would come back to me. So I do apologize for that, but it should clear up around the 20-minute mark. You'll get the in and out for the first 20 minutes, and then I corrected the issue and it should be good from that point. And so I came across this article that had more information about Jerhonda Pace's testimony. And so I wanted to share that with you. And it says, it opened up with R. Kelly choked a teen girl until she passed out and then spit on her when she regained consciousness, according to the first witness testimony at the singer's federal racketeering trial on Wednesday. And we know that that is Jerhonda Pace. And so after several legal delays, the snags imposed by a global pandemic, prosecutors laid out their extensive case against Robert Sylvester Kelly in Brooklyn federal court. They argued the Grammy-winning singer and producer was for decades at the helm of a criminal enterprise funded in part by his legit massive venture and devoted to horrific deviancy. And so we know that that is absurd, that somebody with so much talent would waste their talent, would use their talent to create a criminal enterprise when they had all this money at their disposal and willing participants as well. And so it goes on and says that as assurance and a way to make sure these women wouldn't talk, he created and collected collateral. He made them create embarrassing videos and false letters, said Assistant United States Attorney Maria Cruz Melendez. He kept in his back pocket in case anyone tried to accuse him of anything. So now the prosecution is alleging that this enterprise took place over the course of 27 years or 30 years, however far they're going back. So you mean tell me, like, just how people used to say he walked around with the duffel bag full of videotapes. So not only was he walking around with this duffel bag of videotapes, he was also walking around with a back pocket full of letters and evidence on these alleged victims. Like, make it make sense. So let me skip over this part to get to the part where they were talking about Jerhonda, because they're still talking about what she said, what the prosecutor said in her opening statements about, this case being about a predator, a man for decades who used his fame, his popularity, a network of people at his disposal to target and groom people. I talked about that in my last video. Using his money, clout, and public persona to hide his crimes in plain sight, she added, while Kelly, who was dressed in a gray suit and glasses, was taking notes at the federal table. The first accuser to testify, Jerhonda Pace, described to jurors a six-month relationship she had with Kelly when she was 16. The relationship, which mostly consisted of sexual encounters at his Olympia Fields mansion, ended in January 2010 after the pair got into an argument and Kelly got so angry he attacked her, she said. He slapped me and he choked me until I passed out, Pace said on Wednesday, adding that when she gained consciousness, Kelly spit in my face and told me to put my head down as shame, or in shame. She did as she was told, Pace told jurors. Afterward, she continued, Kelly forced Pace to perform oral, and she cleaned herself up with a blue Aeropostale t-shirt that she later turned over to authorities. Prosecutors showed the t-shirt in court on Wednesday, stating it had Kelly's DNA on it. But how did she get the t-shirt? You know, a lot of people think she got the t-shirt from Dominique, because you know her and Dominique were friends. Dominique was still in the house, and so they're thinking that she got the t-shirt from Dominique at some point. So I'm wondering, does DNA tell how long something has been on a shirt? And then also, was this particular Aristotle t-shirt out in 2009 when she claims that all of this allegedly happened? And so those are things that the defense will need to be able to dispute. And so months earlier, she said she first met Kelly in 2008 outside the Chicago courtroom where he was on trial for CP charges. I said I was a fan, and he said, thank you for your support. And I told him my birthday was coming up, and he said, happy early birthday. Pace, who is now 28 years old and 9 months pregnant, said on Wednesday. Initially lying about her age, Pace said she first went to Kelly's house in May 2009 after one of his tour managers invited the teenager and her friend to a party. There, Pace said she and Kelly exchanged numbers. Now, that is quite interesting because I know I read somewhere when all of this first started that she claimed that the party was in like August or September. It was like late summertime, not in May. And then also, wasn't she invited to the party by Bubba? Bubba was not a tour manager. He was his friend who did his tattoos and stuff. So right there, it seems like the story is changing. So she says a few days later, Kelly invited her back to his home, telling her to bring a bathing suit because he had an indoor pool. When she arrived, she changed into her suit and waited for the singer while he was finishing up a haircut upstairs. When he came down, Pace said Kelly sat in a lounge chair and told me to walk back and forth and take off a piece of clothing every time I walked back. I did as I was told, she said. Pace said that soon after, she and Kelly started kissing, and eventually the singer performed oral on her. Afterward, Pace said she felt uncomfortable and told him I was 16 and showed him my state ID. She said Kelly responded by asking her, "What is that supposed to mean?" And then he told me to tell people I was 19 and act like I was 21. Kelly told her he wanted to train her to teach her how to give him oral, Cruz Melendez said about their meeting. Pace also said Wednesday that during the first encounter, she told Kelly she was a virgin, and one of the singer's associates later gave her $50 in an envelope to get home. Prosecutors said that soon after the meeting, the relationship became controlling and that the teen was forced to adhere to strict rules and provide collateral, culminating in the alleged choking incident. Kelly didn't want me to contact with anyone, Pace said when describing how the singer took her phone. He only wanted me talking to him. Don't assume anyone is telling the truth, defense attorney Nicole Becker said during her opening statements on Wednesday. She said that prosecutors and the witnesses they plan to put on the stand will attempt to put a square peg into a round hole. So I told you guys that first part in my last video, but it didn't include the part about putting a square peg into a round hole. And then it goes on, and they kept putting, and I told you guys this in the last video, they kept criticizing Nicole. Everybody I have, read their articles and their tweets are talking about, how she went on and on in this opening statement. I need the transcript for this opening statement because they say it lasted 2 hours. So this writer is saying, in a lengthy opening statement in which she frequently called the accusers girls and was stopped multiple times by the judge for her statements, Becker insisted the government's case was riddled with untruths. She added that all her client's accusers had both a personal and financial bias to be in a relationship with him. Some even enjoyed the notoriety of being able to tell their family they were with a superstar, the defense lawyer said. Becker insisted that the women were not recruited and all consented to be in a relationship. She added that when these consensual relationships with adults ended, the women became angry, resentful, and even spiteful with Kelly. I hope when Nicole slips and says the word girl that she would give a disclaimer, like when she's apologizing to Judge Donnelly for making the gaffe, that she would say, I'm not referring, like technically saying that they were girls, but this is like lingo in the area of the country that I'm from. It's sort of like in the South where we call women of a certain age ma'am, but you wouldn't call a person ma'am, a young person ma'am, because that's seen as offensive. So like maybe she could give a disclaimer as she apologized for referring to them as girls and say that, this is part of her dialect from where she's from. And then there was something else. Oh, and then I just wanted to point out why it's important. I know it may seem redundant when I'm reading the perspectives of these different writers and reporters that are at the trial, because each time you read each person's perspective, you get a little more information. So like when they talk about Nicole using the word girl, everybody else, some of the reporters didn't even talk about that. The couple that did just basically said that she kept referring to them as girls, which she shouldn't be doing because of the nature of the charges, which is what I said when the judge reprimanded her a few weeks ago during one of their hearings. But then this person here actually went on to say that the judge said, did more than reprimand her, but actually, gave what the judge actually said to her when she stopped her. So just wanted to bring this addendum, to share more about what was said during Jerhonda's testimony. She is back on the stand this morning for the prosecution to finish up, and then Nicole will cross-examine her. So go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.